I herald his beginning. I herald your end. I herald Galactus.
Last week, we talked about how Fantastic Four First Steps used setting to enhance their storytelling, fully immersing themselves in the new world they created. From a Jetsons aesthetic, to characters and shots that came as close to Jack Kirby's iconic artwork as possible, to the feeling of the world itself. A world willing to look to the future, villains like Mole Man willing to put aside his differences and help. A world willing to understand the hard choices their heroes have to make. By choosing to create this world, Matt Shakman and the entire crew chose not only to separate the Fantastic Four from the main world of the MCU, but to set them apart from all other heroes. A world that, despite only knowing for 2 hours, the audience would care about. And then, the filmmakers made one more crucial choice. They made Galactus try to eat it. Setting alone isn't enough. If you're an author trying to create a compelling story, you could create the most detailed, intricate, fascinating world of all time, enough lore and backstory to fill the Silmarillion 10 times over. But if it's never threatened, then what's the point? It's a classic saying that conflict drives storytelling. If every main character always gets along, there would be no buddy cop movies. If every character always said what they meant, romantic comedies would end in 5 minutes. It's why the vast majority of sequels reset the main character's arc, whether making them depressed, failures, or breaking them up from their relationship. And while I would argue that there are definitely better ways to go about creating conflict than undoing the first film, I'm talking to you, Alien 3 specifically, it happens because of that need for conflict, that need for tension. And that's something Marvel has always understood. From the earliest days of Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, and 100 others who helped shape Marvel's history, they understood conflict in a way that comics at the time were struggling to grasp. From having the Fantastic Four struggle to pay their rent, to Bruce Banner's battles against his own mind, to Tony Stark's alcoholism, they understood that triumphs meant little if there was no conflict to overcome. That's why characters like Spider-Man, forever Marvel's poster child, struggle so often with school, work, and relationships, because it creates that conflict. Although Marvel Comics has taken that a little too far in some recent Spider-Man comics, but that's a discussion for another day. Characters need conflict. A setting is the same way. If you have made the setting integral to your story, then it essentially becomes another character, and characters should always struggle. The Dark Knight knew this, positioning Joker not only as a foil to Batman, but to the entire city. From destroying the DA who'd become the city's last hope, to rigging boats with explosives and trying to get citizens to kill each other, he wanted to test the city, see how strong it really was. The Batman did the same thing with the Riddler, as does Netflix's Daredevil, making Matt Murdock battle Wilson Fisk not only for his own soul, but the soul of Hell's Kitchen. And while that may seem like a simple thing to achieve, it's not. You see, First Steps had a unique problem. Putting a setting in danger is difficult enough when it's something small, like the 20 blocks of New York that Daredevil obsessively micromanages. But when your setting is an entire planet, how do you threaten it? You find a villain who eats planets for breakfast. Literally. With their new world came a new Galactus. In 2007, Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer gave us a Galactus that was synonymous with its era of superhero films. Years before the MCU would pave the way for the more fantastical elements in comics with films like Guardians of the Galaxy or the heavily underrated first Thor film, Rise of the Silver Surfer was stuck in the age of fear. Fear that audiences wouldn't relate to a giant space alien in a blue and purple suit with an absolutely insane helmet design. So, they did what Green Lantern did with Parallax. They made our boy a cloud.
Look how they massacred my boy.
And on one hand, I do see what they were going for. Galactus is a force of nature, always has been, and so they decided to play it safe and lean into that element, removing all traces of humanity, and making him little more than a galactic hurricane. But while it might have sounded good at the time, it wasn't enough. Like Magneto, fans wanted the real Galactus, and that's exactly what First Steps gave us. The one true Galactus. Appearing just like the late great Jack Kirby drew him, he towers over not only our heroes, but the world itself. All the time we've spent among this new universe, the time spent watching Ben Grimm walk through Yancey Street, or seeing Johnny excited to meet his nephew, or Reed and Susan speaking directly to the public, admitting their fears and dreams, it's all under attack. And in a single moment, Galactus could take it all, just to survive, unless they give in to a devil's bargain.
I would like to see the baby.
And that creates conflict. What First Steps does so well is find ways to humanize everything, from its background characters, to its robots, to its planet-eating force of nature. What Stan Lee and Jack Kirby understood all those years ago is that a bomb is just a bomb. Whether a small grenade or a world-ending nuclear explosion, the bomb itself isn't interesting. Sure, the fallout might be, but in the end the one detonating the bomb, or those reacting to it, will always be more interesting. That's why disaster movies follow characters and not the disasters themselves. Because in isolation, no one cares about a tornado, they only care about who it hurts and the destruction it causes. But Galactus is different. By giving him a face, a personality, a shred of humanity no matter how small, they made him more than just a force of nature. The Galactus in First Steps is weary from this life, not born a villain, but forced into the role, taking no pleasure from it when he commits genocide across the stars, despite his sadistic smile when killing Reed. This is the face of a man who's played against Mr. Fantastic and Marvel rivals. All he wants is for the hunger to stop, and he sees a way in Franklin Richards. He's every bit of the comic book villain we wanted, but his motivations aren't pure evil. He wants to do what everyone else wants him to do. He just wants to stop, but he can't, not without Franklin. And not only does this add an extra layer of tension to the film by giving our heroes an unthinkable choice, it makes Galactus more than just a force of nature. He's not just a hurricane or an earthquake, he's all of that, but in his own way, still human. A tornado with a heart, a hurricane that can speak, an earthquake that can choose not to destroy, but never does. For the moment the destruction ends, so does he. So, if you're an author trying to take away something from this film, I would say it's this. Know what kind of setting your story needs, and if that setting becomes a character, make sure that it struggles, because it will make it that much sweeter when it makes it through. And at the end of the day, while we may love our blue sky beams and feel just a bit of nostalgia for our giant space clouds, none of that will ever beat a well-written character. Of course, being drawn by Jack Kirby helps too. And so, all I have left to say is that I love Fantastic Four First Steps. I love the characters, the world, and the entire space sequence was absolutely astonishing. What I really wanted to see was Galactus. As someone who got a Galactus Build-A-Figure for Christmas when I was 11 years old, I've always wanted to see him on the big screen, and that dream finally came true. And it was, in a word, fantastic.
Say that again?
Hey everyone, Chad Nicholas here. I just want to say thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it. Like I said, I've always loved Galactus, and so getting to talk about him on my YouTube channel with you guys is such an honor. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on the film. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you prefer the giant space cloud? I'll judge you a little bit, but I'd still like to know. So let me know down in the comments. And be sure to subscribe for more content in the future. As always, self-promotion time is coming in, and I'm here to remind you that I'm an indie author. I've got 3 books out, and trust me, every sale counts. So if you're interested in any of them, please go check them out. Links will be in the description. And I've got some fun stuff planned for the channel, so stay tuned. Until then, stay galactic, my friends.